try doing slightly better for your own segment, and then you can come and tell us. It is a reality. Okay. A year later, I joined Planning Commission as Advisor Health and Nutrition and Population. And I spent, the 8th 5-year plan was already formulated, so I could do nothing about it. But believe me when I say, for the next 3 years, I worked very hard, attended every agriculture meeting that anybody would allow me to step in, and tried telling them two things. That look, population growth is not a failure of anybody's program. Population growth is a demographic change which has swept the world at different rates. And India is going through that in a very short period without any drastic action being taken by the government. So that people's choices are respected and people make their choices so that it is sustainable. And therefore, it's failure of no program. Not only that, if the population growth rate is expected to decline, they are living in a dream world which is no information base. Population will continue to grow, maybe at a little lesser rate, maybe at a slightly greater rate. But it will grow until at least 2030, perhaps up to 2050. It's nobody's failure. It's the nature of the beast of demographic transition. And second, there is no necessity at all to believe that what the nutrition people wanted and what the agricultural people wanted or could be told as remunerative should be different at all. So I also went and found out what are the good things that are there in pulse production, how does horticulture improve the livelihoods of farmers. And the 9th 5-year plan had a few words of that in agricultural chapter, but still the economics won. We waited another 5 more years, and in the 10th 5-year plan, thanks to some giants in agriculture, it is Dr. Swaminathan in nutrition, Dr. Gopalan, by that time we could mobilize both these people and work on them, so that really if you ever download and have a look at agriculture and look at nutrition security, they are mirror images and each talks about why the other is indispensable. The 10th 5-year plan also called for a paradigm shift from food security at the national level to nutrition security at the individual level, from self-sufficiency in food grains to meet the energy needs to really nutritional sufficiency so that all the needs are met. And finally gave one warning that currently we are heading towards another problem of overnutrition, which also could be substantially taken care of if we increase the consumption of vegetables. So, it took 10 years. I was a very poor communicator, and that was the problem. We should accelerate this. Has it ever been done in India? Have we ever succeeded? Or were we always this very, very slow, snail-paced progress? I would like you to consider one example, the Green Revolution. Many of you who are young may not realize, but to my generation, the 60s was one of the terribly humiliating kind of a decade. We didn't have enough food for us. Country was not self-sufficient in rice and wheat. We were importing. Whenever you are asking for import and that too at a subsidized rate, it brings with it its own strings. Not meant as any problem or anything, but it does. And when there are international conflicts, obviously there will be some arm twisting using food as a lever. We can't live without food. And therefore, to people who were in their 20s at that time, this was one of the things that really put our backers up enormously. And what was the response? We didn't have mission mode programs at that time. Nobody ever heard of ICT. But a national movement happened. Maybe the agricultural scientists will say, oh, it's green revolution is our contribution to India. Of course it is. Science and technology is in the core of every progress. The fact that immediately lab to land extension education was envisaged as a major component Yes, that is also very important. But was that all? Of course not. Please look at what preceded it and what really made a country from ship-to-mouth existence to self-sufficiency in 1 decade's time. We had land reforms pushed down at the teeth of so many people's opposition. Investments in irrigation, unheard of dimensions in that time. Fertilizer production increase, fertilizer subsidy. Farm level procurement and minimum support price. You have affected all the sectors across lines, and that is the only reason. It restored, you are able to really put a little bit of incentive and also a little bit of pride into each one of the segments and ask them to coordinate their activity. And the result, of course, is by mid-70s, we were reasonably self-sufficient. 80s, food production. We are a food exporting country. We have no problem with rice and wheat. And not only that, between food production, buffer stock building, PDS system, we talk about failures, leakages, problems. But look at agricultural commodity prices over the last 40 years. The consumer expenditure on food items has fallen considerably. From around 80% in the 60s, it has come down to around 50% by the time the 2000 came. Why? Mainly because cereal prices have been kept low and food grains were available at subsidized cost to people below the poverty line, and even people above the poverty line had much better access. 40 years of maintaining a price line is not to be thought of as a small achievement in a country of this magnitude. Again, perhaps there has been a communication failure wherein we failed to communicate. Look how much have we achieved. Why do you ever feel that we are not good enough? We always fault.